Hi everyone. In this presentation I'm going to take you through the requirements for your survey that you're required to do by October 9th. And I'll show you how to use SurveyMonkey. So it's just important to remember you're going to be working on your survey this week, but don't send it out to anybody yet. First, you need to wait for my approval because in it you must include some very specific consent language because of your research study, and it needs to be in the first paragraph of your survey and in the email to participants. So on Blackboard, I've included the consent language that you should include in the survey. Now, you should use SurveyMonkey because it's free. And when you use the free version, there is a paid version, and there's no need for you to have to pay to use that for this class. When you use the free version, you're limited to 10 questions. And I'll show you a few little tricks for how to be able to make the best use of all of those 10 questions. And on Blackboard, I put a link to the tutorials that SurveyMonkey has and some directions that they have available. But after this PowerPoint presentation, I'll step you through a little bit to give you a better idea of what's in SurveyMonkey. Okay, your requirements for this assignment are that your survey questions need to align with your research questions, which we sometimes call our RQs. So whatever you have for survey questions, those should be all working toward helping you to answer your research questions. Again, you need to have 10 questions in your survey. And there should be no more than 2 demographic questions in your survey. So a demographic question would be asking people's gender or age or things like that. So you want no more than 2 of those, and if you don't have any, that's fine too. Also, you should have no more than 1 essay or open response question because we want to be able to collect quantitative data with SurveyMonkey. So we're trying to look for not necessarily essay or open response questions. You'll get that type of qualitative data from your discussion board. Okay, the assignment requirement for this week is on Blackboard. I've posted a template and you need to complete the template, and that's what you'll submit to Blackboard. And on the template you'll write in your research questions, and under that your discussion board questions, and then just provide me with a link to your survey. So that will be what you need to submit. Now let's just take a quick look at some of the things that you can do with SurveyMonkey. I have an example of a survey that's already been created, and I'll just show you the different types of questions that you can have here so you can get as much information out as possible using SurveyMonkey within the 10 question limit. So at the very beginning, you're going to put in the consent language that is on Blackboard. And then after that, here we have, you can see this is Q1, so question 1, question 2, but you can see that there's a lot of different types of questions. So let's just take a look. When I look at a question, if I go to Edit Question, click here and choose Edit Question, I can see that this is a multiple choice question and only one answer is allowed. If I hold down on the arrow, you can see that these are all the different types of questions that you can choose when you're using SurveyMonkey. Hold on, let me get that back to only one answer. So that's multiple choice with only one answer, and you can see all the different types of questions. At the very top here it has Add Question, and if I click on that, give it a minute, and you would type in your question, and then if you scroll down you can see all the different choices that you have for questions. I'm not going to create one right now. We'll just look at the ones that have already been created. So this is another type of question. This is something that it's a rating or a Likert scale, and if I look at the edit question, we can see that it's called a rating scale here, and in it you add in the rows of what you want them to rate, and then you add the different levels of how they should rate them, and you can choose how many levels that you want. You can have multiple, but I think probably if you want to keep it around 5 or 6 at the maximum, and then what the different levels mean. So that way, even though this only counts as one question in SurveyMonkey, you're able to gather a bunch of data with that. Here's another type of question. let's look at this, see what type of question this is. Under edit question, this is actually a matrix of choices. So these are the rows, and then these are the headings that go on top of the columns. And that's what you get when you choose that type of a question. This is what it looks like. Oh, and this is interesting right here. I forgot to point that out to you. You can also choose to add in an other field. So that way, if people have something that they want to respond to, but it's not on your list, you can choose other, and then they have a place to write that in, the other, of their vacation choice for their family or partners. All right, you can have a single text box, and you can have them write a sentence or two, but again, don't use more than one of these because it does put people off and probably will decrease your response rate, and we want to collect more of that qualitative data through the discussion board. If you have a reason, you can have a question where they have to enter numbers down. You can also have where they can choose multiple choices from a list. And let's take a look at this. Edit question. If I choose edit question, this type is called matrix of drop-down menus. So here are all the row choices, and then for each of the drop-down menus, these are the choices there. So you can see how using something like this really helps you take advantage of SurveyMonkey without going over your 10-question limit. And you can also have a rating scale, but include the option to put other in as well, where they have to explain, or where you're asking them to explain why or why not. And this one has 7 questions, and you can see that quite a bit of data is collected within those 7 questions. So if you have any questions about SurveyMonkey or this assignment, as always, please feel free to email me, text me, or we can set up a time where we can talk on the phone, Skype, or collaborate.